Today we're going to look at how we actually put a trap in the ground or bed the trap for an animal, and then from there, once you understand that concept, you can build on it with different set styles and different sets. So you're going to need some tools for bedding the trap, and that is some type of hammering device and some type of digging device, and then you're also going to need a dirt sifter so you can sift dirt back over to camouflage the trap. First thing you want to identify is there any water that's going to run through your trap area, or are you going to have any traffic that you don't want through your trap area? So in my case, that's a no, so I'm going to be good to go. So I know I'm not going to get a lot of water running through here and flood out my trap. So what I'll do is I like to just go around, see I'm just digging this up, and then I just break chunks of this dirt up. And I usually just flip it right behind the area that I'm going to be working in. Now, you don't have to dig down super deep here. About 2 inches below the surface is more than enough for any trap. I always push the dirt to the back of my set like this. Now, depending on what size trap you're actually dealing with is going to depend on what size dirt hole you need to dig here. So me, I'm using right now a double long spring. So I want to make sure that it can fit in there. I'm thinking about the ground being level. So as I go through here, I'm about right with where I want that. So I'm happy with that setup. Next is my chain and my anchor. For that, I'm using just a steel stake that I have. You always want to make sure that you can keep your chain and anchor out of the way of the trap set. You can always bury it underneath, but the easiest thing to do is look at what spring or side it comes off of and then just figure that out appropriately. I'm just going to put it offset just like that. Again, this is where the hammering tool comes in. I could just hammer straight down. And now I'm anchored in. Push a little bit of dirt over it and it's good to go. For our purposes, I'm just showing how to basically bed this. Depending on what your set's going to be is going to depend if you need a little bit of offset to anything. But we're going to just put the trap in the dirt for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chain now, and I know it's going to be in that section there. I'm making sure that my trap's going to be good and sturdy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trap and I'm going to set my trap. Okay, trap is set. So now it's time to be careful around the trap so we don't get our fingers caught in it. And now I'm going to bed it. So I want to start to push it down. I don't want any wiggle in this trap as I go. If the animal steps here and feels that move like that, it's going to not go any further. So I want to make sure that I get that firmly planted down into the ground. Just like that. As a safety, I always keep this front jaw up. That way, if I do bump this while I'm working with it, it'll just get set off like that and not get me. Okay, so we'll reset that again. Bury that down in the ground. If I need to backfill a little bit of dirt in, I can always do that just to make this set a little bit stronger and not move. So right there, good and sturdy. Make sure that your pan is level and then flip down your front jaw. Now you're ready to go on to the next step. At this point, we're going to sift some dirt back over it. Now we don't want to sift dirt directly over this because we don't want any dirt getting underneath that pan. So you can buy pan covers or you can use stuff just like a leaf, okay, which I've done many times, just enough to block dirt from falling through there. Now I'm going to take all that dirt that I got earlier and I'm going to start to just sift this back over the trap set. Okay. Now where these sifters come in handy is it's keeping all this debris out, so I have a nice clean trap bed at that point. Rest of this debris, throw out of the way. Depending on where you are about scent control, depends on where you're gonna throw this, if you're gonna dig this up with your hands, stuff like that. For me, I'm always on this property digging around and I always see animal sign. So I'm not super concerned that the animals are gonna smell something different because they smell me all the time. So I'm just trying to get some extra dirt. If at some point you run out of dirt, just go dig another hole somewhere. Okay, starting to get close. All right, now, if you're gonna flatten out your trap set at all, back of your hand. Don't put your fingers in, back of your hand, just very lightly. Again, I can see right where I'm at. This leaf is my trigger, okay? So I'm gonna take a little bit more dirt from just in the back here and very lightly cover that up. Okay, move anything out of the way that might impede the animal from coming through, and my trap is bedded. At this point now, depending on what type of set it would be, would depend on a few other factors of how we're gonna bait this, or if we're gonna put lure or anything like that. But ultimately, once something steps in here, see there wasn't a lot of dirt covering that. Now the animal is inside the trap. So it's something to think about. You don't need a lot of dirt over your trap. You want a very fine coating, just enough to cover it up. So this was Dan Wolak from Coalcracker Bushcraft out on the trap line. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think it's an important skill that we understand at least how to use these traps. Even if you're not going to go out and use these techniques, understand the techniques, because it's part of the skill and craft that we possess. So as always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com, and until next video, stay in the woods.